All right, thanks for tuning in to Choop Woo's channel. I am Woo. Like, share, subscribe. Let's get started today. There's been a lot of talk recently around how to become a high value man. In my opinion, that really just means how do you reach your full life potential? How do you become the best possible version of yourself that you can possibly be? Today's video, I'll give you a few tips on how to actually accomplish that. So let's get started. The first tip is have a purpose in life. What do I mean? Set some goals. Ask yourself, for example, I'm 80 years old. What do I want to be able to say I accomplished with my life? Without having a purpose, you're kind of like a ship adrift at sea. You go wherever the current takes you in life. That means wherever the trends, wherever the new hot thing, wherever your day-to-day tasks that bog you down take you. And then you lift your head up 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the future, and you look back and you ask yourself, what have I actually accomplished? What have I actually done? In order to have true fulfillment, in order to reach your full life potential, you have to have a purpose. You have to have discipline to arrive at the goals that you set for yourself, okay? It helps you understand what you should focus on. It helps energize you because you know you're working towards a bigger goal. So that's the first thing. Have a general purpose. What do you want to accomplish in your life? The next thing is you have to take action. And this is something that I've struggled with in my life. Too philosophical. I've said in a few videos, I have a master's degree. It leads to thinking, seeing boogeymen behind every closed door because you've read a lot, you've studied a lot, you know a lot in many cases, and it maybe leads you to see pitfalls, problems, hardships that may not exist. My advice, start. Take action, be decisive. You don't have to get it right the first time or the second time or the 10th time. Start, do, learn, grow, refine. The best action is action in and of itself, as opposed to being philosophical and thinking about things too much. Obviously, you want to put some deep thought into your actions, but don't get bogged down in thought alone. At some point, thinking has to turn to action. I guess that's my ultimate point here, okay? Another thing is be healthy. Your looks matter. Exercise. Limit or quit smoking. Limit or quit alcohol consumption. The degree to which you actually maintain your health, maintain your looks, maintain your physique, maintain your posture, it's going to help you feel better on a day-to-day basis. It's going to give you energy to actually work towards the goals that you set for yourself. And quite frankly, people treat you better when you're in shape, when you dress well. You don't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be super chic or stylish, but it has to be nice, right? It has to be ironed. It has to be clean. I'm talking about your clothes here. People treat you better when you dress better. They assume, rightfully or wrongfully, that you're a more trustworthy person when you're groomed, you're in shape, you have a haircut, etc., etc. So your health is wealth. That's a true statement. It's a statement I live by. Work out, wear nice clothes. It doesn't have to be super expensive. Make sure you're neat and presentable, okay? Another thing I found is helpful is not to actually follow the crowd. In order to really reach your full life potential, you have to sacrifice, you have to have hard work and discipline. I mentioned that. But also, it might require you to take a different path from others. If you follow what the masses are doing, what the general population is doing, you're going to get the results that the general population is getting. Now, if you're fine with getting those general results, go ahead and follow the masses. But if you want to do something truly unique, you want to do something truly valuable, it's probably going to require that you go into monk mode, for lack of a better term, do your own thing, have your own goals, and not exactly go with the flow, okay? You have to be somewhat comfortable with being alone in order to reach your full life potential. That's a fact of life, especially for men. People show up once you've accomplished things, once you have nice things, once you've reached your goals, once you are a person of status, they'll show up, of course. The grind is generally done alone for the most part, okay? Another thing I would recommend, and this is something that I take very seriously, try to take advice from people who have accomplished in life what you're looking to accomplish in your life, right? That doesn't mean you only take advice from those people, but it's helpful, obviously. You're trying to start a plumbing business. Are you going to talk to someone who has never even been to plumbing school, who has never started a business? No, you're going to talk to a successful plumber. You're looking to have a healthy, happy, productive marriage with children in the home, you're not going to listen to all your buddies who have just been single their whole lives and have never even married anyone. You're going to listen to someone who actually has what you're looking for. They can talk to you from experience. See, a lot of people taking advice, and this may sound contradictory, from people who've never accomplished what they're trying to accomplish. Talk to the people who have done what you're looking to do. That makes logical sense, okay? Another thing is keep learning. They say knowledge is power, and I believe that. Learn every day something new. And here's one tip. What you learn doesn't have to be directly related to your ultimate goal. What do I mean by that? Learn and study different subjects. You want to be a CPA. That doesn't mean you can't learn things about sociology, right? Your clients are going to be people. Understanding sociology, psychology is going to help you communicate with them better. Different types of information, in my experience, what I've learned, they're connected. Always learn, always grow, always refine. And just to dovetail here, I don't want to go on a rant, but there's a component of your life, particularly as an adult, where you have to look back and say, have I unlearned things that are incorrect that I learned as a child that I know are wrong? There's an unlearning process. Most people, quite frankly, don't go through a lifelong learning process. They graduate from high school or college. It's probably the last time they actually read a book, other than news articles, etc. Second to that is an unlearning process. A man in particular should spend some years unlearning things that are incorrect and repopulating his mind with information that's correct. That doesn't mean the people who taught you those incorrect things are trying to deceive you. Maybe they were just wrong themselves, okay? So learn, continue to learn, and also unlearn things that are incorrect. Another piece of advice I would say is control your emotions and be able to admit your fears. That's something that I find men have a hard time with, especially these young men these days. They can't deal with hardships, and they very much react like sort of emotional teenage girls. Not to be super frank, but I'm going to be super frank. A man has to understand, and even women, quite frankly, you can't control what life throws at you, but you can control your reaction. It's important to keep centered. Any time in life when you're too extreme, whether it's joy, it's anger, it's rage, it's sadness, you're probably out of bounds, right? You're out of balance. Remain in the center, control your emotions, think through the situation at hand before you react. Do whatever works for you. Me, sprinting up a hill helps me keep my calm, literally. Some people find lifting heavy weights helps them keep their calm and remain balanced. Some people find meditation, drinking green tea, matcha, what have you. Find what works for you. The point is to make sure that you remain centered. How do you actually do that? It can be completely dependent upon you. Okay, there are different avenues. Another thing is face your fear. This kind of goes in line with controlling your emotions. If you're going to be successful, success requires you to confront your fears, understand what they are, understand that they're just boogeymen under the bed. Half the time they're not real, and step by step challenge yourself to face them and challenge yourself to overcome them, okay? You have to be able to admit that you're scared of certain things. Personally, I'm afraid of looking back on my life and saying two things. One, I'm a bum. Two, I didn't accomplish anything. Sometimes treat fear like a Red Bull. It can be an energizer to say, I don't want this thing to happen because I'm fearful of it, so I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Confront your fear. Don't be afraid that you have fears. Everyone does. And then the last thing I'll say here is you have to be willing to make mistakes. And quite frankly, some people aren't going to like this. You have to be willing sometimes to look like a fool. Success requires experimentation. Experimentation means you will get things wrong. Getting things wrong means that you will fail at certain things. Most people just see the success. They don't understand all the hardships, all the incorrect moves, all the failed businesses, failed ideas that sort of led into that ultimate success. It's a learning process. The key word here is process. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to look like a fool, even if it's temporary, so that long term you can have the success that you're looking for. All right? Just a few tips from me. Let me know if this resonates with you, if you can understand what I'm saying, if you have any other tips to reach your full life potential and become a high value man. It's a process. Take your time, have discipline, have dedication. It might be boring at times, but boring things can produce great results. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you next time.